I don't want to match that hate. I don't ever want to be that person that is mean to someone because they're mean, and that's what I strive for. And that's through this whole stepmomming experience. I think it's the biggest thing that has been for me is to really, truly learn how to love people that hate you for no reason.
Welcome to episode 290 of the Nacho Kids podcast.
Almost ready to wrap up the year.
Almost. Christmas is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
We know it can be a hard time for step families, so just know we are sending you our love.
Yep. Just know we probably dealt with it too.
I think we should make a step family Christmas song.
We could do that.
Yes, we should.
Yeah. So here's the fun parts about step families and Christmas, at least from my perspective of what I had to endure, was all the scheduling chaos. Because, where are the kids going to be and where are they going to go? And then you got this side of the family and that side of the family and the other side of the family. And let's just assume that the ex also has a relationship. So that means there's like 4 different families that these kids have to get thrown around in. Because they got to do her family, her significant other's family, my significant other's family. It's just crazy. Like, maybe there should be Christmas for a quarter instead of for a month. Give you time to get it all done.
Yeah, that's crazy when you think about it. And it's stressful.
Yeah, because everybody tries to do everything on the weekends, right? And you've only got, if you just use December, you've only got 4 to 5 weekends. I think this month there's 4. Maybe there's always 4. But anyway, you got 4 weekends. I know sometimes I guess it could fall where it's on 5, but 4 weekends, which is why sometimes you and I did Christmas in January.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it's just too much scheduling chaos. So we were like, you know what? We'll just do this in January.
We will do it when we can do it and it not be stressful.
Yeah, that is true.
We even did it with my dad one year in February.
Yeah. Now, when I say we did Christmas in January, it was usually like extended family or whatever. Like our Christmas in the house was always Christmas Day or close to it, depending on when we had the kids. Sometimes we did it a week before Christmas.
Yeah.
Because we
tried not to make it after.
Yeah, because it wasn't, maybe we didn't have some of the kids on Christmas Day or something. So we would be like, okay, great. Then we'll do it a week early or a few days early or whatever works. Do it.
Well, and even if we had them that same day, my son had to go to his dad's half the day.
Yeah.
Or he came back half the day.
Yeah. So you didn't want him to get stuff that morning and like, okay, you got 2 hours, hurry up, play with it. Then you're going to be gone for a few days.
And then if it was the opposite and I had him or vice versa, whatever, your kids always had to go to their mom's.
Mm-hmm.
So we always had to work around that.
And then they would get stuff and they're like, we're going to take this to mom's. I'm like, no, you just got it. You're not taking it over there because you'll leave it or you'll break it or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But it's theirs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, it is.
All right, David, let's share what our favorite Christmas songs are.
I think I know what yours are. I want a hippopotamus for Christmas.
Correct. 1.
Christmas. Is it Christmas for the family or Christmas with the family or something?
Something like that.
So, let's see. What else would it be? White Christmas?
No.
No. I don't know. I just know those 2.
That's all I know too.
See, I got your 2 favorite.
That's all I can think of right now.
So, what's mine? You won't guess mine.
Yours is Sleigh Bells.
That's one of them.
And the Charlie Brown Christmas.
Oh, dang, you did get them. Wow, I'm shocked.
I actually remember something.
I am so shocked.
Yep. It is a Christmas miracle. I remembered something.
I know.
That's great.
Love the Charlie Brown Christmas song. Or instrumental, since there's no music. There's no words. You know what? There are versions of Sleigh Bells. Is it Sleigh Ride? There's versions of Sleigh Ride that is instrumental as well. And I prefer that to the one that has the lyrics. So I see a trend here. Like, I like Christmas songs that don't have words.
Yeah. All right. You will not have another podcast from us until after Christmas.
Not going to get one next week on the 27th.
Until after Christmas.
Duh. Christmas is on the 25th.
It is, David. And that's when we're celebrating it this year. Actually, we're having family game night, Christmas Eve.
Yep, that'll be a hot mess.
Yep. And then Christmas morning, we need to figure out if we're going to do anything separate with the grandkids here. Or just do it all down at Mama's.
Yeah. So that's another whole thing. When you start having grandkids, now you're also now having to deal with how are they getting passed around.
Mm-hmm. And who's where?
Because
who's on first, who's on second?
They get passed around more than the kids do because then you got to fight your own family for them.
That's true. That is true.
It's like, no.
You remember that time that Avery pushed Angie down to get Layla?
Yeah. It is. Like, and people are like, I want to keep the grandbaby. Like, no, I'm keeping them. Then no, somebody else. No, I'm keeping them.
Have we ever shared, David, about your redneck family Christmas?
I don't know that we have. Not publicly. We probably did it in the academy.
We're not going to share details. We're just going to say.
We'll change the names of the guilty to protect them.
We're just going to say that fists were flying on that Christmas Day.
Yeah, there was
or Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it's Christmas Eve.
Yep, Mama Beers was always Christmas Eve. Oh, yep. I'm sorry. Mama Vilma.
Mama V. Yep, fists were flying. People were unconscious.
Yeah.
The details were definitely funny, but not the place to share them here.
Yeah. What's interesting, though, is David and I were just talking about people getting choked out.
Like the day before.
The day before. And my question was, how do you know when not to kill them? How do you know when to stop? Right? And the next day, it happened. And David was the one causing that to happen. And he said, that's how you do. That's how.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. It was quite crazy. Quite crazy.
Quite crazy. Quite quick, too. I didn't think, because one of the things that we had a conversation about was how fast something like that can happen.
Yeah.
And you were like, no way. And then afterwards, you're like, yes way.
Yeah. And what did you tell your mama? She was all upset about it, like worrying about what I thought about it. And you said, don't worry, her family's probably done worse.
It was something like that because it was early on in our relationship. My mom was like, what is she going to think about us? Because, I mean, it wasn't something that had ever happened before. We had some crazy things happen, but never a fist fight at the Christmas party. Usually it had to do with fireworks and setting something on fire. That happened quite often.
Well, the funnier thing was the age difference of the two involved in the altercation.
That was,
like a 40-year difference.
Yeah.
It just gets worse and worse the more you talk about it.
Yeah, the thing is, though, is everybody's listening going, you got to tell us the details. And I don't want to do it on here. No,
we're not going to do it on here.
I won't do it in the open forum. If you join the academy,
that's it. If you join the academy, you get the juicy stuff.
Yeah, if we're in a closed forum, I'll tell you the story. But
and my mom got into it.
Oh no, yeah, that's definitely a closed forum.
Yeah. And she wouldn't come in the yard, would stand at the end of the driveway.
That's enough. That's enough. All right. Let's get to listen to this podcast.
We didn't tell them anything about it.
Okay. We'll tell them about it.
Today we have Kim Early. Hey, Kim Early. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So you're a stepmom and a bio mom.
Yes. All of the above.
All right. So start off your story.
So I am a Rolling Stone. I'm a little bit of a wild child. So I spent most of my 20s and 30s being a performer, singer, actor, stand-up comedian, all of the above. So I did not meet my husband until I was about 35. He had a son at the time. I think Ethan had just turned about 11 when we started dating. And then I ended up having two bio kids, one at 39 and one at 40. So, ladies,
Ooh,
there's no timeline but your own timeline. And I really
yes.
love to encourage that because they told me I was a geriatric pregnancy. And I was like, I think you need to rewrite your books because no. Yeah, two perfectly healthy kids at 39 and 40. And that was after me being a Rolling Stone. Yeah, so
That means doing
became
drugs, right?
yeah, I was a little wild child. Yes. So,
We'll just
yeah.
clarify what you're saying.
Yeah, I was a wild child. Yeah. So, all like I said, all of the above.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, so I didn't even become a wife until 37, and I became a stepmom right away to an 11-year-old boy, Ethan, like I said, and then I had a son, Liam, at 39, and Luna, my daughter, at 40, and they are now 8 and about to be 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if I do the calculations, wait a minute, how old is Ethan now?
Even 22 now.
All right. So you've been together 11 years.
11 years, yeah. Married 10. We just passed our 10-year anniversary this year. So
Congratulations.
thank you. I know, right? We made it past that 7-year itch and hump or whatever they call it. So
And you made it past the 3-year blended family.
Eh. Oh,
Let's see, what can we call that? The
is
blended
that what it
family
is?
bomb. There you go.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was
Yeah.
a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Year 2 to 3 is the hardest for blended families.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what we're going to call it, the blended family bomb.
Blended family. Yeah, it's funny because things you're right, did not get toxic for us until we had our first bio child. Until then, baby mama was she was pretty cool. You know what I mean? We had no issues. And then as soon as I had my son, and not to make it political, but that was also the year that Trump won, and she's a staunch Republican, and I am not, and it just caused a lot of toxic behaviors that had like it was like apples and oranges. Like one had nothing to do with the other, but something just switched in her, and she just got really toxic after our first son was born.
So when you first started dating your husband and he had a son, and you obviously didn't have kids, and you're later in life, right?
Yeah, like I
So are
said, I
you
was
thinking,
35.
nah, man, I don't want to date somebody with kids? Or did you even care?
Oh, I did not care.
Okay.
No, I didn't care. That didn't bother me at all. And honestly, I didn't think I wanted kids because I was, like I said, 35. We got married at 37, and I was like, I actually felt glad that he had a kid because then if I made the choice not to have kids, I didn't feel guilty that I denied him being a father. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so it actually gave me comfort that he already had a child. So I was like, okay, good. That pressure's off. But then I knew me, and I knew if I didn't at least try, I was going to turn 50 and be like, oh my God, I regret like not even trying. Like we should have tried. And I honestly believe that's why I got pregnant so easily because I didn't have any pressure. It was like, if the good Lord wants to let it happen, then it's going to happen. And we just did it naturally. And yeah, so that's why I didn't even know if I wanted kids. But then, yeah, Liam came. God said, yes, you will be a mother.
Yeah. All right. So you get into this relationship. He's got a son. How often did he have Ethan at the time?
And see, that's one of the things, like, I don't have a lot of regrets in life, but one of the things that I do regret is not fighting for more time with him because when I stepped in, the agreement was my husband would pick him up, Todd would pick him, Ethan up at after work, so like 5:36 p.m., and he lived 45 minutes away from us.
Oh,
So
wow.
after work at 5:15, he's fighting that traffic, getting all the way to where he lives, brings him home. So what? He gets home at like 7:30. They
Hmm.
would order pizza, do their thing, and then he had to have him back in Zelienople, where he's from, by 10 a.m. Saturday morning to go to church because she's super, super religious. And again, like I don't judge people for that, but when your ego like runs everybody's life based around that, like it really upset me. And I didn't know her too well at the time. And like I said, she was cool with me at the time. And my husband was like, don't become friends with her. And when I said to him, I go, what kind of custody agreement is this? I was like, that's not even like time. Like, why don't you have him all weekend? Like, you should be picking him up Friday and taking him back Sunday. And my husband was like, I don't want to argue with her. Please do not rock this boat. Please do not rock this boat. So I didn't. I never rocked the boat. And it just always made me sad. Like Father's Day, he was never with my husband. He was always with his stepdad because that's what she wanted. You know, holidays were never like, oh, I get him this day. It was always her. You know what I mean? Like my
Yeah.
husband always got crumbs of his son. And it
Well,
just,
let me ask you this. Surely your husband thought about getting more time with his son prior to you coming in the picture.
yes. But
Do you think, now I know we're hypothetically whatever, but do you think that he didn't fight her for more time just because he didn't want to rock the boat?
yes, that's absolutely why he did it.
Is
She's
he a
such a,
non-boat
he's,
rocker?
yes. And it's so frustrating sometimes because I'm a boat rocker.
Ah,
And I don't rock the boat to cause problems. I rock the boat for like people who don't speak up, for people who are like, you know, getting like I hate like my thing is I am such a peaceful kind. Like people are like, oh my gosh, she's so fun, she's so nice. But if I see something, like if I see another kid bullying another kid, I will step right in. I don't care who your mama is. If you're bothering a kid and the kid is like, stop, you're hurting me, don't, or anybody, like even an adult, like I had our neighborhood was like picking on one of our council members and I stood up for her. I was like, yo, you guys are being like grown up bullies. What is going on? So that's the kind of like boat rocker I am. I don't do it on purpose. It's like when I see somebody picking on someone, you know what I mean? Like I'm
yeah.
going to stand up for them because I have a voice and that's what I use it for. And my husband's always like he said, just she had given him so much that he just didn't want to deal with her.
Right.
He just didn't want to deal with her. And that makes me sad. It does.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be a lot like you. I used to stand up for everybody. You know, oh, if you're afraid to say it, I will.
Mm-hmm.
Until I learned that sometimes those people will throw you under the bus so they don't have to deal with that confrontation. So, for instance, I worked at this company and it had become a toxic environment. And we had this little short man. We used to call him the leprechaun. That was like the CEO, the big man, whatever you want to call him.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in to a meeting one morning and started cussing at us and screaming, wanting to know what the problem was. And I look around the table and nobody says anything. I said, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So then after I told him, he goes around the table and asks everybody else. They're like, no, I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what though? And again, like, see, I'm at the stage where when things like that happen and I get removed, I'm like, oh, good. I wasn't supposed to be there. But honestly, like, you're a better person for it. And I can even just like feel your energy. Like, you have good karma. You're a good person. You have a good aura. So the energy that you put out, that's why you're highly favored. That's why you'll always be blessed and divinely protected. They can try to form their swords, but they're not going to hit you. They're not going to hit you.
There are times where you hear of people stepping in and it just turns completely horrible. There was this guy that I read about. It's been probably a year ago now. And he went to help some girl that was getting attacked.
Mm,
Well, he ended up losing an eye
hmm
in that fight.
Yeah.
But one thing that he will say is he does not regret it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But you see everybody
Yeah.
when something's going on now, they bust out their phones instead of helping each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. And that's the problem too. And you know, and I truly believe, like I said, like my faith in like my higher power and how things are supposed to lay out, you know, I feel like I took the words good and bad and right and wrong out of my vocabulary a long time ago. And it really helped me to put my ego aside when it came to situations. Like there's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad. Everybody gets to make their choice. And whether you're Christian or not, which I'm not, you know what I mean? I was raised Catholic, but just in a human sense, in a spiritual sense, you know, God is the only one that's going to judge you. At the end of the day, when you leave this meat suit and you go up there, that's who you're going to have to talk to and answer to and look back and review your life and say, you know, what did I do and how did I do? And, you know, and that's it. So and like that guy said, no regrets. You know what I mean? He has no regrets about helping that girl. And even people like I see that do horrible things. I'm like, interesting life choices. Okay, well, good luck with that. and what I've learned through this whole stepmomming process, it's really been about not holding any hate, because truth be told, I hated my stepson's mom, because she was so religious. I mean, this woman went to church. She goes to church 6 days a week. She leads young females in worship. And if I were to match her energy and stay here on this podcast, or even to people that know her. But again, I don't need to justify who I am. I just am. I am who I am, and I'm going to continue to be the kind person that I am. But the things that she has said to me, the things that she has done to my child when he was born, like refusing to get the flu shot. My stepson needed a flu shot, and the doctor was like, everybody who's in the house needs to get a flu shot to protect the baby. My stepson has had every immunization out there. She is not an anti-vaccine person, but all of a sudden, when my newborn child was born, everybody needed a flu shot. Now all of a sudden she's anti-vaxxer, telling us all these reasons why, Ethan. And it was because my husband did not vote the way she voted, because she brought it up. She was like, we were talking about the flu shot, and all of a sudden she brings up how he voted. And we were like, that was the only time, it was the only time I've ever heard my husband yell. The only time I've ever heard my husband lose his on her. He just really avoids her. Yeah. And he was like, what the F does that have to do with my son? Like, are you? Yeah. So that when I say the level of toxicity that this woman, her vitriol hate, and every girlfriend that my stepson would date and I would finally meet them, they would be like, oh my God, like you're like, they actually look forward to meeting me, because Ethan would say how nice I was. And his mom would say, oh yeah, Kim, she's so nice. She's so perfect. Kim can't do anything wrong. And when the girls would tell me that she said this, it would just make me chuckle. And I was like, well, I mean, she's not wrong. I mean, I've had people say much worse about me. And if that's what you're saying, like that just says so much more about where you are in your life. And then I went from hate to feeling sorry for her. Then I was like, you know what? I feel sorry for I don't even feel sorry for her anymore. Like I said, I've reached this level of enlightenment where everyone just is. I'm going to continue to just be, and, continue to choose love and not hold hate ever, because everybody's going through their own journey and their own experiences, and why she is the way that she is. She's obviously gone through things in her childhood and her life that have made her this hateful person. And I don't want to match that hate. I don't ever want to be that person that is mean to someone because they're mean, and that's what I strive for. And that's through this whole stepmomming experience. I think it's the biggest thing that has been for me, is to really, truly learn how to love people that hate you for no reason.
Well, I want to back up a second because, and I don't know if you meant it this way, but I want to clarify. You said that you hated by a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Was that because of her religious beliefs?
No, because of how she treated me.
Okay.
Oh, no. I have lots of Christian friends who I think are amazing. They're beautiful, kind people, and they walk the talk. She doesn't walk the talk.
Yeah, I didn't think you meant it that way.
No. She talks and talks and talks and talks, but doesn't walk the walk. And that's why, and again, my ego would be like, oh my God, I can't believe she's like leading church groups with kids and girls. And what is she teaching them? How to be hateful? And again, I'm not even there anymore. I'm like, okay, well, they're supposed to be in each other's lives, and there's no mistake. And, whatever, again, it's none of my business. What do I care? Just keep her out of my space and keep that toxicity away from me, and we're good,
Right. Yeah. And talking about the mind and your thoughts are powerful. I don't want to get off too much on this thought process, but that's one of the things that we teach in the Nacho Kids Academy is how to change your stinking thinking.
Mm-hmm. I love that. You're stinking thinking.
Yeah, you're stinking thinking. Don't realize the power it has. Mm-hmm. Same thing as what you put in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people say, oh, nachoing's just disengaging. No, it's not. It's becoming self-aware. It's becoming looking at things from a different perspective. There's so much more to it. But one of it is changing that thinking.
Yeah. I have, I work with the homeless here in Pittsburgh. During the wintertime, I make sure they get blankets and coats. I have, I work with an underprivileged, like over 55 house where I go and I dance with them and make TikToks and bring joy to their life. Like, that's what I want to be thinking about. I don't want to be thinking about how somebody hates me. Like, I don't have time for that in my life, and I have a choice. What am I going to choose? My head my voice, my heart, my soul with, and it's not going to be hate. And I used to live there for a long time, and that's what caused me to drink and do drugs and be a Rolling Stone. And now I love myself so much that I will not allow those kinds of frequencies to come into my space, like not even my head. Like, no. And not showing is boundaries. It's healthy
Yes.
boundaries. It has nothing to do with being hateful. It's the opposite. It's that you love yourself enough to put up a boundary, to not allow toxic people to come into your space.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And to know how to react to people. Actually, I'm going to say respond to people
Yeah.
when they do come into your space and they're so negative.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a mom who's Asian. She's from South Korea. And you want to talk about learning how to not react. I just made a TikTok about the things that she has said to me and I laughed and people were like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah, but when you heal, you can like, that's why I was a stand-up comedian. And that's why I was good when I did it, because I couldn't make up the stuff that I was saying. It's like, you know what I mean? Like my mom is my biggest bully. So you can come at me all day, but there's just been like so many layers of healing. And I honestly, like, I have gratitude for what has happened. I'm not thankful for the relationship that my stepson and I have now, because we used to be thick as thieves. And when he started dating his now wife, he got married last year. I put my foot down and put some boundaries, and the girlfriend didn't like it, and
Oh,
she demanded an apology from me. And I just saw like a repeating cycle of his mom in his now wife. And I was like, absolutely not. I will say I'm sorry all day, every day. I apologized to my kids this morning because I was so tired last night. My husband was on a work trip and I was up from 4 a.m. to 9:30 and I'm folding laundry at 9:30 and I was like, laundry, there's always laundry. And I'm not like that. I stay in an attitude of gratitude. If I have lots of laundry, I'm like, thank you, God, for all this abundance of clothes. Thank you, God, for
yep.
for a washer and a dryer that works, that I can do laundry in my house. Because I lived, at a time I lived in apartments where I had to go do my laundry laundromat. So I try to stay in an attitude of gratitude. I was not there yesterday because I'm human. I was tired. And what happens when you're tired? You react, you throw fits, and you act like a little brat.
Right.
So this morning I apologized to my kids. I was like, that was not okay. I apologize for being snippy with you. I was tired and,
Mommy was a brat.
yeah. And like, I have no problem, but I'm not going to apologize where I don't owe an apology. I'm just not. I put my foot down there and he refuses to speak to me until I apologize to her. And I was like, well, I guess this is where we're going to sit then.
Okay.
I reached out 3 weeks ago, like 6 weeks ago, trying to make amends. And once again, he demanded an apology and I was like, not happening.
Let's back up a little bit, but I definitely want to come back to this.
Yeah.
The first sign that bio mom, okay, when bio mom found out you were pregnant, is that when she started changing or was it after Liam was born?
It was after the election, the
Oh.
Trump election.
And
Yeah.
when was Liam born?
2016. He was born in August. The election was in November.
Oh, okay.
So actually, no, you know what? Now that you asked me that, it wasn't the election because my memory says that, but no, because no, it had to have been because when did they get their shot? He was born in August. When was the election? November, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's what, yeah, it was the flu shot because I remember he was downstairs and like I said, he yelled because he was like, what does that have to do with that? So
right.
Yeah, it was the election and she got mad that he didn't vote her way. And yeah.
And then she just continued to act that way.
Yeah. And then she just got really hateful, like really hateful.
Wow.
I laugh now. When I look back at how I acted in 2016, I chuckle because I'm like, yeah, I definitely just had a baby because I was like off my rocker. But again, that was me in a space that was judging. And I'm just not there anymore. I don't judge. I really, truly, I'm lying. I still judge mean people and bullies. I'm working on that. But
you're working on that.
I'm working on that. But I'm honest. I am 1000% honest all the time. I'm not going to lie to myself. Yeah, I got a lot of work to do still. But yeah.
So let's talk about your relationship with your stepson. Mm-hmm. Things were good in the beginning.
Yeah, they were amazing.
Let's see, you got pregnant fairly quickly, right?
No, I got pregnant about a year. We were married about 13 months when I got pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did your relationship with your stepson change then?
No, it changed when he started dating his now wife.
Ah.
We were always, when he got bullied at 12, he came to me. When he lost his virginity, he came to me. Like anytime he needed something, he came to me. Like I was the safe space. And
Mhm.
that is why at the end of the day, I have peace of mind about where I'm planting my flag on this issue. And again, I know I'm being stubborn. I know I could say I'm sorry and everything would be all good because my kids are suffering. My daughter put on her wish list to Santa, she wants a hoverboard. She wants matching clothes for American Girl doll, and she wants to see her brother Ethan.
Oh.
I showed it to my husband. I said, "You're the only one. I can't. I don't know what else to do at this point." Like we even said, like, because in my mind, they owe me an apology.
All right. So
They
what
left.
happened? Tell me what happened.
So what happened was she. I'm gonna try to talk really quickly. So she came to us and she was like, "Hey, my mom, she's the second. She's got four siblings. She's the second of them. They're all teenagers." She said, "My mom wants to kick me out. My mom says that she's mad at me because I'm not cleaning up after everybody. And Ethan's mom said I could live with them, but I have to go to church and I'm not religious. So here goes my ego. Oh my God, say no more. Come with us. I wanted to be the hero. I'm gonna be honest, right? I wanted to
Right.
be the hero. Come stay with us." And my husband was like, all she has to do is she has to get a job. So 2 months she lived with us. I got her. We have so many stores literally within walking distance. There's a Starbucks 2 blocks from our house. I got her a job interview there. She didn't go to the job interview. I asked her why. Her bio dad had just come back into her life and gave her this beat up car. She goes, "I had to go get my car fixed." And I laughed and I go, "You don't have a job. So how are you going to pay to get the car fixed? Like you should have gone to the job interview to get a job to have money to get the car fixed." I go, "Who told you to miss a job interview to fix the car that you don't have money to fix?" I was like, "One of your friends?" Because only a child would tell you that. She was like, "No, my mom did." So I was like, "Yes, exactly. That's exactly how I reacted." And I was like, so I paused and I was like, well, I don't think that was a good choice. You probably should have gone on the job interview, right? So then she decides, so when she doesn't get the job, all of a sudden, her and her mom are good. She moves back home. Great. And when she moved in, I said that to her. I go, "This is a temporary thing. I went through the same thing when I was your age with my parents. This is the time for you to just let things boil over and then make amends with your mom." Do you know what I mean? I was encouraging that. I wasn't like, "Yeah, mom." I was like, no, no, no. I went through the same thing. So she all of a sudden goes back. Well, they came back that Friday. They leave. They left a pizza box in my basement and cheese sticks in a brown paper bag. So I said to them, I was like, "Okay, didn't you get like kicked out of your mom's house because you left their house a mess? And I got a 1 year old and a 2 year old, or 2 and a 3 year old, and you guys thought it was okay to leave food in my basement?" Well, my stepson retorted with that I don't have the cleanest house and like so of course I went off. And this is where I made the mistake. I went off. She also twisted my words and told my husband, because my husband was like, "Did you call her mother a child?" And I was like, "No, I absolutely did not call her mother a child. That is not." So she twisted my words around. So, like I said, I'm a Reiki practitioner, so I deal a lot with energy, thoughts, same thing, right? Like how to help people put up boundaries. So I just deleted her from my social media because I just thought that was the best thing to do because I don't need a child on my social media anyway. I don't know why that hurt her feelings, but apparently that is like the issue. Like he was like, "Why did you delete her from your social media?" And I was like, "I don't like people who twist my words around." And no, I'm not okay with that. And I'm not okay with you guys saying that. And I told him at the beginning too, like, "Don't say anything to my husband yet. I'll talk to him about it." So Ethan said that I had lied to his father because I didn't tell him right away that Sarah was staying with us. And I was like, that wasn't the like I don't lie to your dad. I was just trying to like ease it in. But again, my ego, right? Because
Right.
had I talked to my husband, he would have been like, "No, absolutely not. She cannot stay here." So I probably should have talked to my husband first because then we wouldn't be where we are now. you know?
Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of a long story, but that's where we're at. And it's crazy because now she's pregnant, right? So now my kids are about to be an aunt and uncle, and it has nothing to do with me. I honestly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart with no hate. I could honestly care less if I am in their lives or I'm in that baby's life. I care for my children. I care for my husband. I don't want them to not have a relationship with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So even like 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks, I reached out and I was like, "Can we please try to find a middle ground and make amends?" And he said something, and I was like really calm about it. And then he got snarky. And then I was like, and I even said, "You know what? Fine, then I'm going to graciously step out of this space." forever. And then he came back with something snarky. And then, of course, I snapped back and I was like, okay, I'm done. So, it's it's rough out here in these streets.
So, what does he want an apology for?
He says he is demanding that I apologize to his wife for how I spoke to her, for how I treated her, and for deleting her off of my social media. Apparently, that's very important to these 20-year-olds. Meanwhile, I'm over here like, are you serious? Is that like, are we like upset over Instagram? Is like, what? What is happening right now?
Yeah, so it's you call my mom a child. You
Which I
spoke
did
to me in a
not.
way I didn't like because you spoke to me
Yeah.
like a parent would, we'll just say.
Yeah. I own two businesses. So if I'm telling you and I get you a job interview, but then you listen and this has nothing to do with anything, but her mom has always been like a caretaker. Do you know what I mean? So she's never worked a job. And like I said, there's a lot of, I wish I could, like, I would be okay with doing that. But why would you take the advice of somebody who's never really worked a job versus somebody who owns two businesses? Like, I was honestly trying to help her. And again, this is my ego. Like I said, I'm not saying, oh, she never worked. I was just trying to advise her. That's all. And then when she said that I called her mother a child, yeah, that upset me because you twisted my words around. I would never say that. Like how you reacted and you were like, that's exactly how I reacted when she said, no, my mom said that. I was like, oh, because, I don't want to insult anybody's mom. I would never do that. So that's always like, oh. And I was
Yeah,
like,
in my head, I heard, "Oh no."
yeah, exactly. And that's exactly how I reacted. Cause like I said, I'm not a bitch. I'm not a mean person. And I said, oh, well, you probably should have gone because you're trying to put a cart in front of a horse. You need the horse first to pull the cart, you
Right.
know? And that was my whole point of getting the job. And then all of a sudden things were good and she moved back home and we were like, okay, great, fine, good.
And
That's
now she
exactly what we
hates you.
wanted. And now she hates me. Yeah. And now he hates me. And now his mom is probably super happy because now they all hate me. And I was like, well, she got what she wanted. She wanted everybody to hate me. So you win.
So what does your husband say about all this? Does he want you to apologize? Does he just
No,
say, screw it?
no. He knows, he knows that and he even said, I think on both sides that need to be discussed. And my stepson was like, nope, because he's 22. He was like, nope. We don't owe anybody an apology. Kim owes her an apology, and that's it. And that's how children are. Do you know what I mean? Because adults would be like, okay, let's talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I can't be mad when his frontal cortex is not fully developed yet. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to, he's literally still a child. And it's at 22. Listen, when I was 19, I thought I was the smartest human being that walked this earth and that my parents were the biggest idiots. I was like, where did they get their education? Because they are just dumb.
Out of a Cracker Jack box.
Yeah. So literally, I'm getting a little bit of my karma.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just like him at that age. So that's another reason why I just sit and all I do is send them love. And I'm like, please let them be happy. Please let them be in love. Please let them treat each other well. Please let them be abundant. I don't want to see them like struggling as young parents. You know what I mean? Like, and of course, like we're going to be here for them, even though we're not like in their lives.
Right.
Yeah. So
Well, I
like,
mean, your husband could still go see them without you. Would you be okay with
yeah.
that?
Oh, he did. He went to the gender reveal. He didn't take our kids because we don't want them around baby mama.
Right. Yeah, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm. They were in the brother's wedding. They hadn't talked to us in over a year. And I got a message saying that my kids were going to be in their wedding. They didn't ask us. They didn't say, hey, literally had not spoken to either of us, me or my husband, in over a year. And then just texted us saying that my kids were going to be in their wedding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that's the entitlement that I'm dealing with over here. And that's who wants me to apologize. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm like, So that second I go into I want to be bitter, I have to go back into let it go, Kim. Just keep faith, just keep being a good person. And my thoughts are always good thoughts. Send them love, send them healing, send them growth, send them abundance,
Not,
I just,
oh, they need to see what they did wrong.
no, absolutely not. Because that's why, like, a hateful person would be like, I hope they fail. I hope they see how miserable they. You know what? My ego would be like, oh, see, that's what they get. If I were no, my higher self is like, bless them. Seriously, why would I want somebody? If I love him like I say I do, and I do, why would I want him to not succeed? You
Right.
know, I don't care if he hates me for the rest of his stinking life. I will always want him to be happy, healthy, and abundant. Always.
Right.
His mom too. I want her to be happy. I don't want
Yeah.
anybody like when I see somebody suffering, I'm like, gosh, you know you can really choose to be happy? You know you can make that choice, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to choose to hate me. Like we could be friends, but you don't want that. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, in one way, he's taken up for his,
His wife.
yeah,
Yeah. And
which
that's why
is
I said to my
good.
husband, I was like, so you're not gonna take up for me? And I just joke, you know what I mean? Because I don't need him like to defend me. But we have talked about that. And he's just one that he would rather I don't know. I don't want to speak for him. I don't know. I don't know why he hasn't like sent me. And that's another like layer that I deal with. You know what I mean? I'm trying to understand and move through because we are happily married. So I'm like, okay, do I want to make this an issue? Do I want to, be angry about this and tell him that he should say something or that he should stick up for me? Or am I just going to sit here and hold space and, you know,
Well, I feel like that he is supporting you or sticking up for you by not telling you that you need to apologize.
apologize. Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly why I'm like, okay, I'm just going to stay in my lane.
And for a
We're
non-boat rocker,
happy.
that's a big
Ex-
step.
yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, but I hate it for your kids, and I do hate it for your husband.
Yeah. And that's why I said it's really because for them that makes me feel bad.
Yeah.
And then it hurts me because Ethan hasn't reached out to hang out with them. I've never said that they cannot see him ever. And he's never been like, hey, dad, can you come meet me with the kids? The only time he called was when he needed a tool from him to fix his wife's brakes. That's
Yeah.
it. That's the only time we've heard from him in 2 years and the wedding.
Well, you didn't want your kids going to the gender reveal because of Bio Mom, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. But they were at the wedding because my husband was there. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm. So
yeah.
your kids were in the wedding.
They were in the wedding because, again, I didn't want them to grow up and say, why were we not in Ethan's wedding? And I didn't want to say, because I was being a brat.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
there was literally no reason for them not to be in their brother's wedding other than me being. I chose not to go, and I did not go.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you have every
yeah,
right to do that.
yeah. They had a website, and mind you, I had bought him his first car. I bought him my dad's old truck. When that truck didn't work, I gave him more money on a down payment for his car. And again, this is my ego talking because ego is the only one that's like, I did this and I did that. So I wanted very clear, and on their wedding website, they listed everyone. This is the mom. This is it. I was not even on there, like at all. I was not acknowledged. So yeah, that hurt my feelings. It was yeah, and that's something that hurt me so deeply that I was like, I'm definitely not going to that wedding. That was a choice that I made. They made that choice and I made the choice that said, okay, well, if you're not even acknowledging me and for the years that I was in your life, then cool. I will just stay in the shadows. That's totally okay with me. Yeah.
There's a lady that I'd spoken with, and, a lot of times it's just perception.
Yeah, it's all
So
perception.
her perception is you called her mama child.
Mhm.
You talked to her inappropriately, quote, quote.
Mm.
And it's not perception because you did block her on social media.
Oh, I definitely blocked her.
Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes I wonder if we shouldn't apologize because of their perception. And
Yeah.
when I say that, I don't mean, oh, well, I'm sorry you saw it that way or anything like that. I mean more of, I'm sorry that this has caused conflict between us.
Yeah.
Because you are sorry about that.
I did. Well, that's what my message was. You know what I mean? I was like, this is not like, and I even said, like, I've said sorry for that things went down like this. And I said, I have said I am sorry that things went down like this. And that's not good enough. And my stepson retorted the message 6 weeks ago. No, you haven't apologized. That's the whole point. That's when he was like, started getting nasty. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not. And then he sent like two more text messages and I didn't even read them. Like I'm really good at like once I say, okay, because what would be the purpose? Like now I'm angry, right? So if I read your text message, what am I going to do? Get angrier and then
Right.
respond. So I'm just not going to respond to your energy. I literally put out a white flag. Even my response was calm, but then he just kept wanting to poke the bear. So I said to my husband, I didn't read the letter because I put all four of us in the group message. So there was no misunderstanding. It was me, my husband, him and his wife. And even my husband was like, don't read it. At this point, he's just trying to argue with you. And that's what my husband said. So I was like, yeah. So I didn't read it. And he was like, at this point, he's literally just trying to argue with you. And I was like, okay. So I didn't respond. I didn't even read it. I still haven't read it. And that was like 6 weeks ago. There's just two messages just sitting there.
So how long ago did this happen with the girlfriend?
It's been 2 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Mm-mm.
Because the longer time that goes by, the harder it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's been 3 years. I was in 2021. So it's been 3 years. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. And this is like and just, and again, I don't know why I need to bring this up, but like while she was living here, because she wasn't working. So mind you, our electric bill went up, our gas bill went up, our food bill went up, right? Everything. There were a couple times where I needed her. I run two businesses, right? So I'm like, there would be times where I was like, hey, can you watch my kids? And I would pay her $10 an hour while she watched my kids while she was living in my house. She told people that I took advantage of her because she was living in my house. I have 12 babysitters on a Rolodex, ma'am, that I can call all the time, but it would be awkward to have my babysitter come over while there's a girl sitting in my basement. So I figured I would pay said girl in the basement and she doesn't have a job. Hey, let me put some cash in your pocket as well. Turned it into that I took advantage of her and I was using her. And I was like, wow. So her perception, quote unquote, on things in life was just something that I did not want in my space. I was like, wow, okay. So now I'm like this evil person who just used you for the last 2 months. Got it. Okay. Wonderful. Got it. Totally understand. You're right. I am so mean and I totally took advantage of you. You're right, lady. Like, wow. So it was that.
I'm surprised it's not your fault that her and her mom got in a fight in the first place.
Oh, I don't, everything's my fault apparently. So that, like I said, it's totally cool. Cause again, I understand perception. So if that's how you're going to perceive me, then stay out of my space.
And too, as I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking, even if you did apologize for the issues and she accepted your apology, right?
Something else would happen. Yep. Oh, I already know that person. I like, listen, I have family, I have blood relatives that I do not talk to because they're just, so that's why I said, as soon as I saw the cycle repeating, I said, oh, HELL, no. We are not doing that. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. And especially with somebody who's younger than me, she did send a text message right before they got married too, before the wedding, because his mom was messaging me and I was like, why are you messaging me? Message Todd. Don't act like we're friends. You know what I mean? Like you've been to me this whole time and now you're messaging me like, oh, I need Luna's head circumference so I can make her little flower girl veil. And I was like, why are you messaging me?
Right.
I was like, please message Todd. I have nothing to say to you. Like, please don't pretend like we're all good. Like, absolutely not. So she was like, well, I told Ethan and his, Sarah that they needed to reach out to you. So she reached out to me and, at the end of the text message, she wrote, I pray God gives you more grace and peace, hun. And I was like, did she just call me hun? I said, she intentionally chose to be at the end of that text message. Okay, cool. And then that sealed the deal for me. Definitely not going to the wedding. Yeah. And like I said, she knows I'm not Christian. Like my mom's Buddhist. You know what I mean? My dad comes from a Catholic country. So I grew up with like just an open spirituality, open-minded about everything. Like we're like, whatever, you believe whatever, that's fine. But she knows that I have a lot of, I had a lot of healing to do from Christians and from the Catholic Church. And that's a whole nother podcast. So I said, okay, so you're choosing to be a little piece of crap. Cool.
Yeah, that's like when my ex, when he would send me a message or whatever and put my name at the end of it.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Even if he just said whatever, Lori.
Yeah.
It's like, Why you got to throw my name in there? You know who you're talking to. I know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
What is one piece of advice? I already know what your answer is going to be. But what is one piece of advice that you would give stepmoms going into the blend?
Love you.
Oh, I like that.
Love you. Don't ever forget at the end of the day, no matter what, you're going to have husbands, you're going to have kids, you're going to have stepkids, you're going to have friends, you're going to have parents. If you don't love yourself, what do you have? What are you extending to others? You know what I mean? You're crumbs of you. So make sure that you always fill yourself, fill you, fill your heart. And I truly believe that everything will always work out in your highest favor.
Here recently, I was talking to a lady, and it may have been on a podcast. I don't know. I talked to so many people. And I told her, I said, just be you.
Yeah.
Be you.
Yeah.
Because we lose ourselves in that stepmom role.
Mm-hmm.
And if the bio mom is talking crap about you, the kids will see it because that's not who you are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's why, and again, like we could probably talk all day because even when they grow up, like I said, some of that energy, you know, it spills over. And at the end of the day, if you love yourself enough and you're true to yourself, that's when you'll be able to sleep at night. I sleep really well at night, knowing where my heart is and where it lays and, you know, how I show up.
Right. So. Right. Well, thank you so much for being a guest.
Oh my gosh, Lori, thank you. This has been such an honest, have loved this conversation. And thank you for holding space and being open. And yeah, like I said, I already knew you had good energy. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I want to have you back. So put on your calendar somewhere this time next year.
Absolutely.
I want to update on how things are going with stepson. Now, if there's progress between now and then, please reach out to me.
Absolutely. I will, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. We just realized we are short on time, so we have got to go.
Yep. Gotta get it. So until next time, remember, life is good.
Merry Christmas. When you nacho.
Merry Christmas when you nacho.